I want to talk about melodic moves. Now, I referenced common tones between the 1 and the 4 chords. You always want to look for those. Now, this is going to get a little heavy if you don't know your theory. So you need to practice your theory so that instantly you know how to analyze any note over any given chord. I'm going to go through this, dealing with just the triads. The root of the E chord is the E. What will that be when we go to the 4 chord? Now, this is where you have to think ahead. Well, E is going to be the 5th in the key of A, so it becomes the 5 of our A chord. That's going to be a good strong move. So it's a common tone. They're in both arpeggios. Keep that in mind. You'll hear me demonstrate this. Let's go to the G sharp. Now that is the 3rd of the E chord. What will it be when we go to the A chord? Well, it's going to be the 7th, right? So we need to move up a half step. So that's a move. Now we talked about that with those pentatonics. So if you're on a G sharp, you could go up to the A. Or you could come down and walk down to the E, but that's a longer distance, isn't it? Because you're going to have to go G sharp, F sharp, E. Nothing wrong with that, but I'm trying to show you the closest moves. Half step or whole step. So the 3rd of the 1 chord will move up a half step to the 1 of the 4 chord. If you memorize the numbers, doesn't matter what key you're in. Let's take our final note. The B, which is the 5th of the E chord, would either move up a whole step to the C sharp, which is the 3rd of the A chord, or it moved down a whole step, to the root of the 4 chord. So it gets a little tangly. I know this stuff, and just talking about it's sometimes a little trickier. And it really boils down to seeing those arpeggios. If you're on a note, you can see the arpeggio on your guitar, and you don't think it so much. So those are 3 moves that you would have, one of them being a common tone between the 1 and the 4 chords. What happens in our progression where we're going from the 1 to the 5 chord? Well, let's examine our notes. The E, which is the root of the E chord, would have to either go up to the F sharp, which is the 5th of the B chord, or come down a half step to the 3rd of the B chord. The G sharp, which is the 3rd of the 1 chord, the E chord, would come down a whole step to the 5th of the B chord, the F sharp. And our B, in this case, is the 5th of the E chord, the 1 chord, statically stays as a common tone, becomes the root of the 5 chord. Now, I've just talked a lot. I am going to demonstrate these moves. I'm not going to narrate it. Maybe you should work it out and listen to it as I play.